that's a great way to start. Um, Hello, I hope everyone has had a good day. Um, and it should be a really chill night. So I said I was going to read something new, um, and I had every intention of doing so, but I had an event that I went to, and I took a book with me to read, and I thought that it's fine, I'll just read in the evenings. I did not read in the evenings. I was very tired. Um, but I didn't want to just bail at the last minute again because I know I've done that a few times. So I thought previously I've read wintery poetry, um, but again, collecting a whole bunch of poems from across kind of all of the books I have for a theme is a little hard, but I do have a bunch of my old textbooks, and part of them is split into eras. So we will be doing poetry from the Romantic era. Um, I do need to give a caveat. Um, this is not romance as in love. It is the name of an era, of a literary era, and so if you're coming here thinking it's a Valentine's Day in love, no, I'm very sorry, it's not. But if you like poetry, it might still be fun for you. Um, so to start with, I've got headers on my slides, and once we get actually into it, you will actually see me adding things to the slides as we go. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead of having pre-selected the poems, I have pre-selected the poets. Um, it's the big ones. I do have access to some of the smaller poets' works, but I figured I'd start with the big ones because if anybody really likes romantic poetry, um, they're gonna want the big ones, and I enjoy them. Well, some of them. Look, I've left Lord Byron out intentionally. I really don't want to deal with him. Um, Um, so yeah, I will put the names of the poems as I choose to read them onto the slides. So it won't be a pretty slideshow like this most of the time. Most of the time it'll actually be back. Eh, most of the time it'll actually be backed out into this. Actually, hang on. Hang on a second. Hang on a second, guys. I didn't realize. Hmm, I didn't know it would do that. Hang on a second. There we go. um, yeah, that's fun. Sorry about doing that on the fly. How about we do this then? Uh, oh no. No, just make this one big. Let's get this started. This is meant to entertain and inform. I don't hold any of the rights to the works described, and I hope you enjoy. All of these should be out of copyright because they're all very old. And then it is romantic poetry. And you can't see it. Ah, okay. But that's good because I have to do this. We are starting with William Blake. If you know anything about William Blake, you probably know him the most from Songs of Innocence. Songs of Innocence and Experience. And I will do some of those, but I figured I would start we'll start with these two. So we'll start with To the Evening Star. Why is it not doing anything? Hello? There we go. All right. So, To the Evening Star by William Blake. Thou fair-haired angel of the evening, now while the sun rests high on the mountains, light thy bright torch of love, thy radiant crown put on, and smile upon our evening bed. Smile on our loves, and while thou drawest the blue curtains of the sky, scatter thy silver dew on every flower that shuts its sweet eyes in timely sleep. Let thy west wind sleep on the lake, speak silence with thy glimmering eyes, and wash the dusk with silver. Soon, full soon, dost thou withdraw, then the wolf rages wide, and the lion glares through dun forest. The fleeces of our flocks are covered with thy sacred dew. Protect them with thine influence. And then the next one is song. How sweet I roamed from field to field, and tasted all the summer's pride, till I the Prince of Love beheld, who in the sunny beams did glide. He shewed me lilies for my hair, and blushing roses for my brow, and led me through his gardens fair, where all his golden pleasures grow. With sweet May dews my wings were wet, and Phoebus' furred my vocal range. He caught me in his silken net, and shut me in his golden cage. He loves to sit and hear me sing, then laughing sports and plays with me, then stretches out my golden wing, and mocks my loss of liberty. So, okay, so we're going to do some of, do I have them side by side in here? We're going to do some of the Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. And don't have them all. Okay. I was hoping I had them side by side because they have the Songs of Innocence have a counterpoint in Songs of Experience, but I don't have them here in counterpoint, which is annoying. Actually, I barely have any of Songs of Innocence. All right, I'll do the William Blake the William Blake poem that basically everybody has to read at least once in their life. It's like part of English Lit 101 basically. So it is The Lamb. Nope. And it is from Songs of Innocence. So, little lamb who made thee, dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb who made thee, dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee, little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child. I a child, thou the lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. And then the counterpoint to that one. That one. So is the tiger. Yeah. So if you didn't know The Lamb, you probably know this one, or you at least know the first line of it, because it pops up again in pop culture a lot. And that's another fun thing is how many of these old poems show up in pop culture because it's not just in like culture about literature. Lines pop up again because they're good. So, the tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heavens with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Let's see. I don't think I have another pair. can't believe I don't have these in pairs. Let's see what else. We may be done with Blake. It may just be those 4. He writes a lot. I will say the most common one is Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience are the ones that will most likely show up in school, because you have point and counterpoint with them. Let's do... Before I move on, I'd like to do at least one more of his. Let's do this one. It's short and surprisingly sweet. So this will be the last William Blake, and then I will move on to Wordsworth. So, another William. Never pain to tell thy love. Never pain to tell thy love, love that never told can be, for the gentle wind does move, silently, invisibly. I told my love, I told my love, I told her all my heart, trembling cold and ghastly feareth, she doth depart. Soon as she was gone from me, a traveller came by, silently, invisibly, was no deny. I will be honest, part of the reason I like the Romantic poets, even though they're not all my favorite, is it's still a time where poetry rhymed. I am less a fan of poetry that doesn't rhyme, of free verse. But that doesn't mean... Oh, I forgot he also did prose. That's why there's so much in here. Sorry. But I like things that rhyme. I like that. It's weird, and it's not always like... It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoy it. Oh, speaking of... I'm going to try to remember to actually drink my tea tonight, because I'm going to be reading a lot. So I have orange spice tea. It's very tasty. All right. On to Wordsworth. William Wordsworth. Um, he and Coleridge were kind of like, so they were contemporaries, but they were, Coleridge did more sublime, which is the like wilder, fiercer kind of nature poetry, and Wordsworth did pastoral, which is the more like peaceful stuff. It doesn't mean Wordsworth didn't do sublime, and it doesn't mean Coleridge didn't do pastoral, but what they are known for is they are known to be opposites. Oh, and I probably have to do this one. Yeah, we'll do this one. Um, so if you ever take a class on romantic literature, be prepared for a lot of Wordsworth, at least at the front end. Blake and Wordsworth are basically, well, you might start a little earlier, but Blake and Wordsworth are kind of at the beginning. Um, and a lot of people like Wordsworth, so. Lines written in early spring. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a I can read. I can speak. I promise, guys. Uh, I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sate reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts in that green bower the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there is pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? So that's kind of Williams Wordsworth's vibe in a single poem. That is kind of how the vast majority of his poems go. Um, I enjoy him. I prefer Coleridge, but to be fair to him, and because um, I enjoy sharing things, even if they're not my favorites, I enjoy sharing. Um, I will continue to read Wordsworth. Uh, let's do this one. Let's do this one because I enjoy this one. So, the tables turn. Up, up, my friend, and quit your books, or surely you'll grow double. Up, up, my friend, and clear your looks. Why all this toil and trouble? The sun above the mountain's head, a freshening luster mellow, through all the long green fields has spread his first sweet evening yellow. Books, 'tis a dull and endless strife. Come and hear the woodland linnet. How sweet his music, on my life, there's more of wisdom in it. And hark how blithe the throstle sings, he too is no mean preacher. Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher. She has a world of ready wealth, our minds and hearts to bless, spontaneous wisdom breathed by health, true truth breathed by cheerfulness. I am having problems. I am very sorry. One impulse from a vernal wood may teach you more of man, of moral evil and of good than all the sages can. Sweet is the lore which nature brings, our meddling intellect misshapes the beauteous form of things we murder to dissect. Enough of science and of art, close up those barren leaves. Come forth and bring with you a heart, what watches and receives. So I will say something about Wordsworth, is that man did not lack for words. So a lot of his poems are very long. Oh, do I want to do his really famous one? What do you think? Should I do the famous one? It's only 5-ish pages. That's fine, right? Y'all sit with me for 5 pages on a single poem, won't you? So this is called Lines. It will commonly show up as lines composed above Tintern Abbey. But yeah, this is a big one. It's long, and since apparently I'm having problems reading today, I apologize in advance if I butcher this one. "5 years have passed, 5 summers, with the length of 5 long winters, and again I hear these waters rolling from their mountain springs with a soft inland murmur. Once again do I behold these steep and lofty cliffs that on a wild secluded scene impress thoughts of more deep seclusion and connect the landscape with the quiet of the sky. The day is come when I again repose here under this dark sycamore, and view these plots of cottage ground, these orchard tufts, which at this season with their unripe fruits are clad in one green hue, and lose themselves mid groves and copses. Once again I see these hedgerows, hardly hedgerows, little lines of supportive wood run wild, these pastoral farms, green to the very door, and wreaths of smoke sent up in silence from among the trees, with some uncertain notice, as might seem, of vagrant dwellers in houseless woods, or of some hermit's cave where by his fire the hermit sits alone. These beauteous forms, though a long absence, have not been to me, as is a landscape to a blind man's eye, but oft in lonely rooms and mid the din of towns and cities I have owed to them in hours of weariness sensations sweet, felt in the blood and felt along the heart, and passing even into my purer mind with tranquil restoration. Feelings, too, of unremembered pleasure, such, perhaps, as have no slight or trivial influence on that best portion of a good man's life, his little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. Nor less, I trust, to them I may have owed another gift, of aspect more sublime, that blessed mood in which the burden of the mystery, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened. That serene and blessed mood in which the affections gently lead us on, until the breath of this corporeal frame, and even the motion of our human blood, almost suspended, we are laid asleep in body, and become a living soul. While with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. If this be but a vain belief, yet oh, how oft in darkness and amid the many shapes of joyless daylight, when the fretful stir unprofitable and the fervor of the world have hung upon the beatings of my heart, how oft in spirit have I turned to thee, O sylvan Wye, thou wanderer of the woods, how often have my spirit turned to thee. And now, with gleams of half-extinguished thought, with many recognitions dim and faint, and somewhat sad perplexity, the picture of the mind revives again, while here I stand, not only with the sense of present pleasure, but with pleasing thoughts, that in this moment there is life and food for future years. And so I dare to hope, though changed, no doubt, from what I was when first I came among these hills, when like a roe I bounded o'er the mountains, by the sides of the deep rivers and the lonely streams, wherever nature led, more like a man flying from something that he dreads than one who sought the thing he loved. For nature, then, the coarser pleasures of my boyish days and their glad animal movements all gone by, to me was all in all. I cannot paint what then I was. The sounding cataract haunted me like a passion. The tall rock, the mountain, and the deep and gloomy wood, their colors and their forms were then to me an appetite, and a feeling and a love that had no need of a remoter charm, by thought supplied, nor any interest unborrowed from the eye. That time is past, and all its aching joys are now no more, and all its dizzying raptures. Not for this faint I, nor mourn, nor murmur. Other gifts have followed. For such loss I would believe abundant recompense. For I have learned to look on nature, not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing oftentimes the still, sad music of humanity, nor harsh, nor grating, though of ample power to chasten and subdue. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of thought, and rolls through all things. Therefore am I still a lover of the meadows and the woods and the mountains, and of all that we behold from this green earth, of all the mighty world of eye and ear, both what they half create and what perceive, well pleased to recognize in nature and the language of the sense, the anchor of my purest thoughts, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart and soul, of all my mortal being. Not perchance, if I were not thus taught, should I the more suffer my genial spirits to decay. For thou art with me here upon the banks of this river, thou my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend. And in thy voice I catch the language of my former heart, and read my former pleasures in the shooting lights of thy wild eyes. Oh, yet a little while may I behold in thee what I once what I was once, my dear, dear sister. And this prayer I make, knowing that nature never did betray the heart that loved her. 'Tis her privilege, through all the years of this our life to lead, from joy to joy, for she can so inform the mind that is within us, so to impress with quietness and beauty, and so feed with lofty thoughts, that neither evil tongues, rash judgments, nor the sneers of selfish men, nor greetings where no kindness is, nor all the dreary intercourse of daily life, shall e'er prevail against us, or disturb our cheerful faith, that all which we behold is in full blessings. Therefore let the moon shine on thee in thy solitary walk, and let the misty mountain winds be free to blow against thee. And in after years, when these wild ecstasies shall be matured into sober pleasure, when thy mind shall be a mansion for all lovely forms, thy memory be as a dwelling place for all the sweet sounds and harmonies. Oh, then, if solitude or fear or pain or grief should be thy portion, with what healing thoughts of tender joy wilt thou remember me, and in these my exhortations. Nor perchance, if I should be where I no more can hear thy voice, nor catch from thy wild eyes these gleams of past existence, wilt thou then forget that on the banks of this delightful stream we stood together, and that I, so long a worshipper of nature, hither came unwearied in that service, rather say with warmer love, oh, with far deeper zeal of holier love. Nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs, and this green pastoral landscape, were to me more dear both for themselves and for thy sake. I only stumbled a couple of times. Yep, it is poetry night. It is poetry night. Wordsworth, do you have anything shorter for my sake? I'm starting with the big name romantic poets, and then we'll see if I go into some of the smaller guys. It kind of depends on how well my voice holds up and how long it takes to get through the big guys, because they have a lot of words. Oh, that one's short. And it's not just that it's short, it's that I actually recognize it. So, just because I have textbooks of these poets doesn't mean I've read every single one of their poems. I've read more of Coleridge than of Wordsworth. Hang on, let me type this one up. So this one is My Heart Leaps Up. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began, so is it now I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old or let me die. The child is the father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound to each other by natural piety. Let's see. see. Oh, we are not doing Ode. Ode is too long. Of course, Ode and Prelude are the next things. Let's see. Let's do this, and then we'll move on. I have one more for Wordsworth, and then we'll move on to Coleridge. Not that he writes any less. Like, all of these men are prolific. Yeah. All right. I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay, and I such jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasures fill, and dances with the daffodils. Alrighty. Let's go to Coleridge. Oh, that needs to be capitalized just to make myself happy. Alright. On to Coleridge. I can't do rhyme, it's too long. I love rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, but it is very long. In 7 parts. Let's see. Oh no. Coleridge, did you not do short poems? This feels accurate, actually. Let's do dejection. Which isn't super long. It is by no means short, but So, Dejection, an ode. And it starts with a quote of something else. So it starts with, late, late yestereen I saw the new moon with the old moon in her arms, and I fear, my master dear, we shall have a deadly storm. From the Ballad of Sir Patrick Spens. Well, well, if the bard was weather-wise, who made the grand old ballad of Sir Patrick Spens, this night so tranquil now will not go hence, unroused by winds that ply a busier trade than those which mold yon cloud in lazy flakes, or the dull sobbing draught that moans and rakes upon the strings of this Aeolian lute, which better far were mute. For lo, the new moon winter bright, and overspread with phantom light, with swimming phantom light o'erspread, but rimmed and circled by a silver thread. I see the old moon in her lap, foretelling the coming on of rain and squally blast. And oh, that even now the gust were swelling, and the slant night shower driving loud and fast, those sounds which oft have raised me, whilst they awed and sent my soul abroad, might now perhaps their wonted impulse give, might startle this dull pain and make it move and live. A grief without pang, void, dark, and drear, a stifled, drowsy, unimpassioned grief, which finds no natural outlet, no relief, in word or sigh or tear. O lady, in this wan and heartless mood, to other thoughts by yonder throstle wooed, all this long eve, so balmy and serene, have I been gazing on the western sky and its peculiar tint of yellow-green. And still I gaze, and with how blank an eye, and those thin clouds above in flakes and bars, that give away their motion to the stars, those stars that glide behind them or between, now sparkling, now bedimmed, but always seen. Yon crescent moon, as fixed as if grew in its own cloudless, starless lake of blue, I see them all so excellently fair. I see, not feel, how beautiful they are. My genial spirits fail, and what can these avail? To lift the smothering weight from off my breast, it were a vain endeavor, though I should gaze forever on that green light that lingers in the west. I may not hope from outward forms to win the passion and the life whose fountains are within. O lady, we receive but what we give, and in our life alone does nature live. Ours is her wedding garment, ours her shroud, and would we aught behold of higher worth than that inanimate cold world allowed to the poor loveless, ever anxious crowd? Ah, from the soul itself must issue forth a light, a glory, a fair luminous cloud, enveloping the earth, and from the soul itself must there be sent a sweet and potent voice of its own birth, of all sweet sounds the life and element. O pure of heart, thou needest not ask of me what this strong music in the soul may be, what and wherein doth it exist, this light, this glory, this fair luminous mist, this beautiful and beauty-making power. Joy, virtuous lady, joy that ne'er was given save to the pure, and in their purest hour life and life's effluence cloud at once and shower. Joy, lady, is the spirit and the power which wedding nature to us gives in dower. A new earth, a new heaven, undreamt of by the sensual and the proud. Joy is the sweet voice, joy the luminous cloud. We in ourselves rejoice. And thence flows all the charms or ear or sight, all melodies the echoes of that voice, all colors suffusion from that light. There was a time when, though my path was rough, this joy within me dallied with distress, and all misfortunes were but as the stuff whence fancy made me dreams of happiness. For hope grew round me like the twining vine, and fruits and foliage not my own seemed mine. But now afflictions bow me down to earth, nor care I that they rob me of my mirth. But oh, each visitation suspends what nature gave me at my birth, my shaping spirit of imagination. For not to think of what I needs must feel, but to be still and patient, all I can, and haply by abstruse research to steal from my own nature all the natural man. This was my sole resource, my only plan, till that which suits a part infects the whole, and now is almost grown habit of my soul. Hence viper thoughts that coil round my mind, reality's dark dream. I turn from you and listen to the wind, which long has raved unnoticed. What a scream of agony, by torture lengthened out, that lute sent forth, thou wind that ravest without, bare crag or mountain tarn, or blasted tree, or pine grove whither woodmen never clomb, or lonely house, long held the witch's home. Methinks were fitter instruments for thee, mad lutanist, who in this month of showers, of dark brown gardens, of peeping flowers, makest devil's Yule, with worse than wintry song. The blossoms, buds, and timorous leaves among, thou actor, perfect in all tragic sounds, thou mighty poet, even to frenzy behold, what tellest thou now? This 'tis the rustling of a host in rout, with groans of trampled men, with smarting wounds. At once they groan with pain and shudder with cold. But hush! There is pause of deepest silence, and all that noise, as of a rushing crowd, with groans and tremulous shudderings, all is over. It tells another tale, with sounds less deep and loud, a tale less affright and tempered with delight, as Otway's self had framed the tender lay of a little child upon a lonesome wild, not far from home, but she hath lost her way, and now moans low in bitter grief and fear, and now screams loud and hopes to make her mother hear. 'Tis midnight, but small thoughts have I of sleep. Full seldom may my friend such vigils keep. Visit her, gentle sleep, with wings of healing, and may this storm be but a mountain birth. May all the stars hang bright above her dwelling, silent as though they watched the sleeping earth. With light heart may she rise, gay fancy, cheerful eyes, joy lift her spirit, joy attune her voice. To her may all things live from pole to pole, their life the eddying of her living soul. O simple spirit guided from above, dear lady, friend devoutest of my choice, thus mayest thou ever, evermore rejoice. I have just realized that despite liking Coleridge more, Coleridge writes far longer poems. Or at least more of his well-known poems are long ones. So I will recommend Rime of the Ancient Mariner if you want a poem that is a story, similar to an epic, but shorter, but still long. But in the interest of being able to read, I have two poets after this, and in the interest of being able to read them as well, I'm only going to do one more of Coleridge. I really, really like his work, but he is a very wordy man, but highly recommend him. I need to tell you which one I'm about to read. That would be helpful. To nature. It may indeed be fantasy when I essay to draw from all created things deep, heartfelt, inward joy that closely clings, and trace in leaves and flowers that round me lie lessons of love and earnest piety. So let it be. And if the wide world rings in mock of this belief, it brings nor fear, nor grief, nor vain perplexity. So will I build my altar in the fields, and the blue sky my fretted dome shall be, and the sweet fragrance that the wildflower yields shall be the incense I will yield to thee, the only God, and thou shalt not despise even me, the priest of this poor sacrifice. So I'm skipping Lord Byron. If you're looking for Byron, you won't find him here. He is also a prolific writer. Hang on, I have to get past him. There we go. Not that his best friend is any shorter. Percy Shelley. Never knew a short poem. I did Mount Blanc last time. So I have to be careful with Percy because he does a lot of prose too, and I'm only doing poetry tonight. Did I do the Nightingale last time? I feel like I did the Nightingale last time. Let's do one of my favorites. It also shows up a bunch in pop culture because it's a good poem. So, Ozymandias. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survived, stamped upon these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. I always like that one. The irony and the pride. Okay, so I've got a couple of choices. We can do To a Skylark. Always fun, semi-long, but always a good one. We can do Hymn to Apollo. Oh, his really pretty one is super long. The one he wrote for a friend. We're not doing that one. I recommend Adonis. But it is very long. Let's do To a Skylark and then Tonight. So and I apologize for those who were hoping for a book recommendation. My recommendation is poets. So, To a Skylark. Hail to thee, blithe spirit, bird that never wert, that from heaven or near it pourest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpremeditated art. Higher still and higher from earth thou springest, like a cloud of fire the blue deep thou wingest, and singing still dost soar, and soaring ever singest. In the golden lighting of the sunken sun, o'er which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun. The pale purple even melts around thy flight, like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. Thou art unseen, but yet I hear thy shrill delight, keen as are the arrows of that silver sphere, whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear, until we hardly see, we feel that is there. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when night is bare from one lonely cloud. The moon rains out her beams, and heaven is overflowed. What thou art we know not. What is most like thee? From rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody. Like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden till the world is wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. Like a high-born maiden in a palace tower, soothing her love-laden soul in secret hour, with music sweet as love which overflows her bower. Like a glowworm golden in a dell of dew, scattering unbeholden its aerial hue among flowers and grass which screen it from view. like a rose embowered in its own green leaves, by warm winds deflowered, till the scent it gives makes faint with too much sweet those heavy-winged thieves. Sound of vernal showers on twinkling grass, rain-awakened flowers, all that ever was, joyous and clear and fresh, thy music doth surpass. Teach us, sprite or bird, what sweet thoughts are thine. I have never heard praise of love or wine that painted forth a flood of rapture so divine. Chorus, hymeneal, or triumphant chant, matched with thine would be all but empty vaunt, a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. What objects are the fountains of thy happy strain? What fields or waves or mountains? What shapes of sky or plain? What love of thine own kind? What ignorance of pain? With thy clear, keen joyance languor cannot be, shadow of annoyance never came near thee. Thou lovest, but ne'er knew love's sad satiety. Waking or asleep, thou of death must deem things more true and deep than we mortals dream. Or how could thy notes which flow in such a crystal stream? We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. Yet if we could scorn, hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy we should ever come near. Better than all measures of delightful sound, better than all treasures that in books are found, thy skill to poet were, thy scorner of ground. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know, such harmonious madness from my lips would flow, the world should listen then, as I am listening now. Tonight. Swiftly walk o'er the western wave, spirit of night, out of the misty eastern cave, where all the long and lone daylight thou wovest dreams of joy and fear, which make thee terrible and dear. Swift be thy flight. Wrap thy form in a mantle gray, star inwrought, blind with thine hair the eyes of day. Kiss her until she be wearied out, then wander o'er city and sea and land, touching all with thine opiate wand. Come long sought. When I arose and saw the dawn, I sighed for thee. When light rode high and dew was gone, and noon lay heavy on flower and tree, and weary day turned to his rest, lingering like an unloved guest, I sighed for thee. Thy brother Death came and cried, wouldst thou me, thy sweet child, sleep? The filmy-eyed murmured like a noontide bee, shall I nestle near thy side? Wouldst thou me? And I replied, no, not thee. Death will come when thou art dead, soon, too soon. Sleep will come when thou art fled. Of neither would I ask the boon. I ask of thee, beloved night. Swift be thine approaching flight. Come soon, soon. Let's see if he has another. Oh, he doesn't. Or at least not in the book I'm using. He doesn't have another short one before Keats. So let's go on to Keats. Okay, so let's start with this one. And then at the end of the night, I will make all of these big and take away the censor bar, and run through all the ones that we read, or that I read tonight. So if you go looking for the names, you don't have to look at the little words that I'm currently typing, but you'll get them all big. On the Grasshopper and Cricket. The poetry of earth is never dead. When all the birds are faint with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run from hedge to hedge about the new-morn mead. That is the grasshopper's, he takes the lead. In summer luxury he has never done with his delights, for when tired out with fun he rests at ease beneath some pleasant weed. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. On a lone winter evening when frost has wrought a silence, from the stove there shrills the cricket's song in warmth increasing ever. And it seems to one in drowsiness half lost, the grasshoppers among some grassy hills. I will say part of the reason I like Percy Shelley and Keats is both of them pull a lot more from Greek and Roman imagery than Wordsworth or Coleridge. On the sea. It keeps eternal whisperings around desolate shores, and with its mighty swell gluts twice 10,000 caverns, till the spell of Hecate leaves them their shadowy sound. Often 'tis in such gentle temper found, that scarcely will the very smallest shell be moved for days from where it sometime fell, when the last winds of heaven were unbound. O ye who have your eyeballs vexed and tired, feast them upon the wideness of the sea. O ye whose ears are dinned with uproar rude, or fed too much with cloying melody, sit ye near some old cavern's mouth and brood, until ye start as if the sea nymphs choired. We are not doing the Eve of St. Agnes. It's too long. Okay. Let's do When I Have Fears. Oh no. There we go. Let's do When I Have Fears, and then... Oh, this is why I was so confused. Oh. Then we're gonna have to make some decisions, because he's got a bunch of odes and they're all great. So let's start with When I Have Fears. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon night's starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance, and when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think, till love and fame to nothingness do sink. Okay, so there's Ode to Psyche. There's Ode to a Nightingale, which will feel similar to the other one we did, Skylark. And Ode to a Grecian Urn, which is also one I really like. I like so many of Keats's. Also, we're probably not getting to the smaller poets, and I do feel a little bad about that. Alright, let's do... I can't do all of them. Okay, we are going to do Ode to Psyche, and we will end with Ode on Melancholy. Because I cannot justify doing all four of these. As much as I love Keats. Okay. So, Ode to Psyche. O goddess, hear these tuneless numbers rung by sweet enforcements and remembrance dear, and pardon that thy secret should be sung even into thine own soft-conscied ear. Surely I dreamt today, or did I see the winged Psyche with awakened eyes? I wandered in a forest thoughtlessly, and on the sudden, fainting with surprise, saw two fair creatures couched side by side, in deepest grass beneath the whispering roof of leaves and trembled blossoms, where there ran a brooklet scarce espied. Mid hushed, cool rooted flowers, fragrant eyes, blue, silver, white, and budded Tyrian, they lay calm breathing on the bedded grass, their arms embraced and their pinions too. Their lips touched not, but had not bade adieu, as if disjoined by soft handed slumber, and ready still past kisses to outnumber a tender-eyed dawn of Aeolian love, the winged boy I knew. But who wast thou, O happy, happy dove, his Psyche true? O latest born and loveliest vision far of all Olympus' faded hierarchy, fairer than Phoebe's sapphire region star, or Vesper amorous glowworm of the sky, fairer than these, though temple thou hast none, nor altar heaped with flowers, nor virgin choir to make delicious moan upon the midnight hours, nor voice, no lute, no pipe, no incense sweet from chain-swung censer teeming. No shrine, no grove, no oracle, no heat of pale-mouthed prophet dreaming. O brightest, though too late for antique vows, too late for the fond believing lyre, when holy were the haunted forest boughs, holy the air, the water, and the fire. Yet even in these days so far retired, from happy piety's thy lucent fans, fluttering among the faint Olympians, I see and sing by my own eyes inspired. So let me be thy choir and make a moan upon the midnight hours, thy voice, thy lute, thy pipe, thy incense sweet from swinged censer teeming, thy shrine, thy grove, thy oracle, thy heat of pale-mouthed prophet dreaming. Yes, I will be thy priest and build a fane in some untrodden region of my mind, where branched thoughts new grown with pleasant pain, instead of pines, shall murmur in the wind. Far, far around shall those dark clustered trees fledge the wild rigid mountains steep by steep, and there by zephyrs, streams, and birds, and bees, and moss-laden dryads shall be lulled to sleep, and in the midst of this wide quietness a rosy sanctuary will I dress, with wreathed trellis of a working brain, with buds and bells and stars without name, with all the gardener fancy I e'er could feign, who breeding flowers will never breed the same, and there shall be for thee with soft delight that shadowy thought can win, a bright torch, a casement ope at night, to let the warm love in. And then we will end with Ode on Melancholy. All right. So this is going to wrap up tonight, and then I will do a show of all of the ones that we've read, with the full size, so that you can easily see the poet and the poems. So, Ode on Melancholy. No, no, go not to Lethe, neither twist wolf's bane tight-rooted for its poisonous wine, nor suffer thy pale forehead to be kissed by nightshade, ruby grape of Prosperine. Make not your rosary of yew berries, nor let the beetle, nor the death moth be your mournful Psyche, nor the downy owl a partner in your sorrow's mysteries, for shade to shade will come too drowsily, and drown the wakeful anguish of the soul. But when the melancholy fit shall fall, sudden from heaven like weeping cloud, that fosters the droop-headed flowers all, and hides the green hill in April shroud, then glut thy sorrow on a morning rose, or on the rainbow of the salt sand wave, or on the wealth of globed peonies, or if thy mistress some rich anger shows, imprison her soft hand and let her rave, and feed deep, deep upon her peerless eyes. She dwells with beauty, beauty that must die, and joy whose hand is ever at his lips, bidding adieu and aching pleasure nigh, turning to poison while the bee-mouth sips. Aye, in the very temple of delight, veiled melancholy has her sovereign shrine, though seen of none save him whose strenuous tongue can burst joy's grape against his palate fine. His soul shall taste the sadness of her might, and be among her cloudy trophies hung. Okay. Okay. We are going to call that good. How do I want to do this? What is the easiest way to do this? So we will go back here. Boop. Okay. So, William Blake was the first poet we did, and we did To the Evening Star, Song, The Lamb and the Tiger, which are the antithesis of each other. They go together. And then Never Pain to Tell Thy Love. Why didn't that do anything? Hello? There we go. We followed William Blake up with William Wordsworth. And did Lines Written in Early Spring, The Tables Turned, Lines, which is also lines pinned above Tintern Abbey, My Heart Leaps Up, and I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. By Samuel Taylor Coleridge, we only did 2 because he writes a lot and I wanted to get to everybody, and then I spent more time on Keats than I probably should have. But we did Dejection, an Ode, and To Nature. Then we did Percy Shelley, and we did Ozymandias, To a Skylark, and To Night. And then we ended the night with Keats, who somehow got, I think, more poems than anybody. But John Keats, On the Grasshopper and Cricket, On the Sea, When I Have Fears, Ode to Psyche, and Ode on Melancholy. So that has been a bunch of romantic poetry. Those are some of the bigger players, if not the big players. I did skip Lord Byron, but Lord Byron should be in there as well. But yeah, those are poems that I enjoy. So I hope you don't mind that it was a little different this time around. I will get the book read that I was working on for next time, and then October we're gonna have 3 streams in October, and they are planned and they should be fun. They should be fun. I hope you all have a good night.